So sure, the holidays are over, but gift-giving season is year-round, right? You always have someone's birthday, you have an anniversary coming up, or that special occasion. That's where leadingsavingsvault.shop comes in. They've got everything from keychains and sunglasses, furniture, gadgets, home decor, clothing, home electronics, jewelry, anything you'd need for any occasion. And from day one, their team keeps bringing together the finest materials for stunning design to create something special for you. All their products are developed with a complete dedication to quality, durability, and functionality. And all of their products are backed with a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not fully satisfied, just return it and get your money back. But don't wait. Head over to leadingsavingsvault.shop and get that product that you need for that special someone, or just treat yourself. So head on over to leadingsavingsvault.shop.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me. Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw in just a few minutes here with Chrissy, who will be joining me on the second half of the show. But before we get there, and a great conversation. She's always a blast to talk with, and such great energy, and great having a woman on the show that, not just because she's a woman, but also because she knows what she's talking about and has a passion for wrestling. So again, we're going to be talking with her in just a minute. But first, I'd like to welcome our brand new patrons who have joined us over the last few days, and Adam P, Kyron M. Thank you so much again, guys. I'm saying that for a couple reasons. Sometimes I don't give out the last name because of privacy, also because I just can't pronounce it and I'll embarrass myself if I try. So it's kind of a dual purpose strategy, where I don't embarrass myself, but also it protects your privacy if I don't know how to pronounce your last name. So, or your first name in some cases. So, Kyron, I think it is. And also Adam P. Thank you both for joining us over the last couple days. I hope you enjoy your membership and consider going higher, because we have a lot of benefits to offer you as you go higher, with exclusive shows like the After Dark show, and video that I'm going to get back on that video train. I was on it for a little while, but just to get back on it and start doing some small clips. And I know I put out a post earlier this month or last month that said, how can we improve, right? And you guys, everything from bringing back nostalgic shows, talking about past wrestling events, to more video and streaming seem to be at the forefront of a lot of you guys' needs and wants. So with my time that it can allow, I will try to do that. I'm already stretched for time as it is for just audio and posting all the things we do, but hey, not that you care. You just want to get what you want, right? You don't care how much time it takes away from me or my family. I mean, am I making you feel bad yet? No? All right, well, I'll get there. I'll think of some other way to guilt you into to feeling awful for asking me to produce more content. I'll get there. But thank you, everybody for listening. And again, if you want to join the ad-free experience, patreon.com/WWE Podcast is the way to go, or on Apple Podcasts. I know a lot of you have been joining us there too. If you just want to join us on your Apple Podcast app, that's a great way too, because you get the ad-free experience and the After Dark show every single week. So that's available to you. All right, let's go to Chrissy and myself as we talk about Monday Night Raw. And I think we had a great conversation. So enjoy this one, guys. And tomorrow I'll be back with the mailbag. So I'll talk to you then. Take care. Welcome, everybody, to the Monday Night Raw review. It is Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. We are here to talk about Monday Night Raw. And when I say we, I mean myself and Chrissy. You guys remember Chrissy from the last month and a half, maybe almost 2 months now. She's been kind of popping in and out of the co-host chair and helping me do the week in review and some other things. So it's been a really a good time with her, and we're bringing her back here tonight. And Chrissy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. This has been, this week with the Elimination Chamber, and then I thought Raw was a good episode, so I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I know that we haven't talked at all about the Chamber, but I do have to ask just your overall thoughts about the outcomes of what we saw Saturday night.
Very similar to yours, where, every ending was quite predictable. We knew who was going to win with almost every single match, but I thought it was good. My sweet son did, in fact, wake up. He tried to wake up. It was 4 a.m. our time. He woke up at 5 a.m. our time to watch it. So I got to watch some of it live, and I was trying to avoid social media, and I accidentally opened up Instagram. Of course, the first thing was who won the Women's Chamber, and I was like, crap. I was trying to avoid that.
Same thing happened to me, and I know that there are so many people that did stay up or get up early, and I was not one of them. And I'm like, all right, if I look at my phone at all, I'm gonna get caught. And I took the chance and I saw it. I'm like, you just can't help it unless you just totally go dark. It's difficult to avoid. But I don't need to provide any thoughts. I mean, you're kind of in lockstep, it seems like, and now we have Monday Night Raw as we are on the straight and narrow path to WrestleMania now. There is no other stops. We are now full blown to WrestleMania 40 from here on out. We have 39 days or so until WrestleMania 40. So I'll start with the women's side of things, where we saw Becky Lynch this on Monday Night Raw. We saw Rhea Ripley. We saw them go face to face here, and what are your thoughts so far about this build to Mommy versus the Man?
I don't know why. I'm not excited about it. And I love Rhea. And I felt more excited about her and Nia at Elimination Chamber than I do her and Becky for Mania, which is wild because obviously WrestleMania is, the biggest show of it all. But I don't know why I'm not excited about it. I'm hoping there's more of a build. It may be because right now I'm feeling kind of with Becky. I'm just not that excited. And that makes me really sad because I love Rhea. She puts on a hell of a show. I know she's going to kill it. But even with the Chamber, I felt like Becky, I almost forgot Becky was there. And if everyone felt like they were taking over Becky. At one point, I think Tiffany was just holding her for minutes on end. And I'm like, Becky looks so weak for some reason. And which is wild for me to say because Becky's a phenomenal athlete. But compared to the other talent that's out there right now, I'm just not as invested into this match as I want to be.
It really is nuts because when we looked at this potential matchup, and really for months, Rhea was facing, she was facing opponents like Natalya or, someone of that caliber that you look at and you're like, respect them, but there's no chance they could win. And you're like, man, when are they going to get to Becky Lynch at least, a big name? And they finally do. And we're like, I mean, it's weird. And I've tried to break this down with Anthony last night. And I think it's just because Becky Lynch's character, it's kind of frozen in time. It feels like she's relying a lot on the character from WrestleMania 35 that just doesn't have the connection that it did with the crowd at the time, where it was just all Becky, all go hung, beat Rhea or beat Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch needs to win the belt, and she ended up winning, and it was just a different ride. And you fast forward 5 years, she went from babyface to heel, then that didn't really work, and now she's back to kind of the same character. I think it's just that Becky Lynch is right now, for some reason, just not an interesting character. There's not a lot to be invested in with her. At the same time, I respect the hell out of her. I know her resume. On paper, this should have me more excited than it does. However, we've got 5 weeks or so until WrestleMania, so there is time to make the fans change their minds or help this along. But if WrestleMania were tomorrow, I would look at this and go, okay, I'll watch, right?
And I hate that for Rhea because, like you guys, Anthony mentioned, she is top of the company right now. And I'm wondering if, when Nia came out and attacked Becky, is that maybe their way of us trying to get behind Becky more by seeing her with the heel like Nia for a few weeks leading up to Mania? I'm not sure.
And to your point about Nia Jax, who I never was a big fan of, she's starting to change my mind of, I don't know what has clicked with her or what switch Triple H has flipped or Nia herself has flipped, but it's like Nia Jax has become more of an interesting character than Becky Lynch. And it's like how,
I wonder if it's Nia's confidence. Nia's she seems so much more sure of herself now than she ever has before. And even though, like, and even with her match with Rhea, like, she was doing some moves that were different. She's limited with what she can do, but she's coming across just more confident. I'm drawn to her more than I am Becky. And that to me is absolutely wild to say. Like, no, obviously I like Nia. She does the work, but when you compare her to Becky, it's like night and day. But yet I would be more excited to see another Nia Rhea match than a Nia or a Rhea Becky match.
Absolutely. I mean, again, maybe we'll all be singing a different tune and eating our words after they have a really good match. But I mean, just the build, if it stays this way, it's going to be underwhelming. I mean, I would have loved to have seen much more of Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair if that was a possible thing. Yeah. But it seemed, that is something I have been waiting for a long time. And they teased it last year. We didn't get it yet. I mean, I don't know if Jade Cargill is the reason or whatever, but they're saving Bianca for something or someone else. So I was a bit disappointed that it wasn't Bianca to win the Chamber. But yeah, I mean, Becky Lynch is trying. It's not for a lack of trying. She's trying different outfits and different phrases and calling people kumquats and calling, she's trying little things. And I understand that. But when you listen to the crowd, the connections with Rhea, the connection is not necessarily with Becky. It's not that she's getting booed, but there's just more of that fresh energy for Rhea Ripley. Like, we're ready to push you to that next level like we did with Becky. And it's just, like you said, I do feel for Rhea, but that these two are going to have a really good match. It's never the match quality that's the question. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, no, I mean, did you have anything else on the segment here with Becky and Rhea Ripley and Nia attacking her?
Yeah, I love that Nia came out to attack her. I'm wondering where they're going to go with that. I love Nia's hair switch, coming from the female's point of view here. The last time we saw her with her natural curly hair was, I believe, in Saudi. So I'm wondering, part of me is like, okay, if you're going to do the switch up, maybe have this wild natural hair be like your wild, going loose, going crazy. Like, if we see Nia with this hair, everybody better run.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. I mean, because usually Nia is a fairly composed character where, when she gets a hold of you, you're in trouble. But she kind of let loose here and just took out Becky Lynch pretty hard and was about to beat Liv Morgan up until Becky Lynch got involved later in the night. But yeah, I like that idea where, and maybe it wasn't on purpose. It was just kind of happenstance of, hey, I want to change things up tonight. But if it was on purpose of, when I get crazy, my hair also follows suit. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. I'm like, I could see her doing this. This would be a good idea if not.
Mm-hmm. It's clever. I agree. All right. Well, then we get to an actual match here. And we get Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura. This match was almost 15 minutes long. Sami Zayn ends up beating Shinsuke Nakamura and finally getting a victory on the road to WrestleMania, where Sami has been in a bit of a rut here for quite some time. I mean, it's been several months now that Sami Zayn's kind of felt like the lovable loser, trying to find his way again. And this could set him on the right path. A fun match. I think it these two work very well together. A lot of history between them. And Sami Zayn ends up winning with the traditional haluva kick. What did you think?
I thought it was a good match. I honestly thought that Sami was going to lose because I thought if he loses one more match, this may send him on a spiral towards a heel turn of like, what's next for me now? Like, I thought maybe they would go that direction with Sami. But since he won, now I'm curious to see where they plan on putting him in the road to WrestleMania. I know he had mentioned something, with the Intercontinental Championship, and then, when Gunther came out, I assumed it would be Sami who interrupted him. And then it was I just went blank on their name.
Judgment Day.
Yeah, the Judgment Day. So I don't know. I'm curious. I'm like, what's next with Sami? Is it going to be a fatal 4-way style, triple threat? What exactly is his path? I guess it's great that you won this match, but now what?
Yeah, that's a good question. But it's like, okay, you got yourself righted a little bit. You got some of your confidence back, but like, what is the ultimate goal for Sami? If it doesn't appear to be the Intercontinental Championship, they wouldn't usually tell you ahead of time that it's going to be Sami if it's really not going to be Sami. So I don't know what the deal is with him. I don't know what his path is going to be. I mean, time is running thin a little bit. March is a few days away, and then you got WrestleMania. So I don't know, but it is a fun story to make it feel like Sami's desperate for wins. It feels like Sami is just trying to scratch to get any kind of victory, and I don't know where this is going, but it's got me intrigued.
It does, and it's so funny to see kind of the path that Sami has led to this point, where when you look at last year, where he was at Mania compared to now, I can see why he feels a little bit lost. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah. No, I mean, think about where he was just a year ago, nearly beating Roman Reigns in the chamber or at Elimination Chamber in Montreal. And then to now not, just trying to scratch to get a victory. It's amazing how things can change in a year. But all right. Then we get Chelsea Green, and she's standing in the ring and said that after issuing a formal complaint with management, she was competing in protest and said that she would have won the last chance battle royal and won the chamber had Adam Pearce not added Raquel Rodriguez. She said she's the star and people wanted her, and she mocked Rodriguez flying all the way to Australia and losing, which was great. She worked at a jab at the San Jose Sharks of the NHL, and Green said she would prove that Rodriguez is a big loser, and then we get the match. So before the match, what did you think about the promo?
I love Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like week after week, she gets better and better and more annoying, more like, God, shut up, Chelsea, but stay on my TV because you're pure entertainment. I love Chelsea. And it's so funny because obviously Raquel Rodriguez is clearly probably a better performer and she's more of a powerhouse, but you don't really know much about Raquel. I feel like they haven't put any time into her character development at all compared to Little Miss Chelsea. And oh God, I love Chelsea Green. I want her to win Money in the Bank because how obnoxious will she be if she's given that chance? Like I can see that briefcase being like blinged out with a tulle skirt somehow on it. But I thought she did a phenomenal job in the promo. Of course, the match lasted, my sweet son was like, that was 10 seconds. And I'm like, yeah, it was quick. So that brought me back to the Diva days. I had some flashback there with how quick the match was, but I love Chelsea.
I mean, I'm with you. It's amazing. Chelsea Green is getting over even being squashed in every match that she's in or losing every match. She somehow continues to almost build momentum by losing. It's almost impossible to do, but she has found a way with being so all in on the character and so believable and very just damn good in her execution that it's somehow okay that she continues to lose. And Raquel Rodriguez, I like Raquel from an in-ring standpoint, but her character's boring. I mean, it just is. Like she doesn't have a ton of like depth to who and what she is. We don't know a lot about her. We know
no like personality.
Yeah.
The story, what's like she's a pretty face with muscles. Is pretty much all she is? I'm like, you've got to give us more. I follow her on her personal pages, so I see the struggles that she's going through with her health, and I think she's still struggling because you can tell she's not wearing makeup, so I'm sure she's still having issues with her skin. So part of me is like, well, bring some of that in if she's willing to, have that personal type story, so that way we can kind of get to know her a bit better, learn about her struggles, and be able to really root her on if you're going to keep her as a baby face.
I think that would humanize her to the fans. I mean, some fans don't look at social media. They aren't aware of the skin disease. I can guarantee some of them aren't. Some of them don't know her struggles. And I think that if they bring some of those videos and pictures on to Raw and just have it like even a minute or two video package on Raquel Rodriguez talking about it and why she's been gone and showing her crying and like being vulnerable, I think that would really start to get the fans behind her and really make them understand who and what she is and what she's been going through, that it's not a typical, she tore a ligament, surgery, rehab. No, this is a different animal. And I think that would help. But right now, if you didn't watch any of that stuff on Twitter or know anything about it, or if you just don't care, which there are fans out there, but this is just Raquel Rodriguez, the big jacked woman that's powerful, young, but you don't know anything else other than that. And Chelsea Green has been excellent at what she does, and even in a loss, she seems to win. But Rodriguez beat her look at the time here. Actually, it was 1 minute and 15 seconds, but it did feel like 10. And she won with the Tejada bomb, and Chelsea Green continues her losing ways. But I don't know. It is an interesting dynamic of where does Chelsea Green go? I mean, she's so over with the crowd. Like, I don't know what her end game is if she can't continue to lose forever. But so, like you said, Money in the Bank, I would think is perfect.
Do you think at this point, with how many women we have in the company who's just killing it, that the women could use another title, like another belt that's not obviously the tag champions? God, they need to stage those and do something with those, but some type of mid-card belt would be good for the women, since we're pretty stacked, I feel like, at this point.
I would prefer, okay, so if this was my division, if this was up to me and Triple H called me and said, all right, Matt, here's what we're going to do, it's up to you. Here's what I do. I would, for the moment, I would take those tag titles and get an exorcism done on them. Sage probably wouldn't be enough. I'd get a priest and have them exorcised. After that, I would have them go away, put them in some kind of tabernacle for like months, and then sure, if you want to introduce a new title, but I don't think doing it coexisting with the women's world championship, the WWE women's championship, the tag titles, and then having another title involved. The only reason I wouldn't do that is they're doing a not great job managing the tag titles. They've never done a good job with that, so that's just kind of the par for the course. But also, the more titles you put out there for the men or women, the less that all of them mean. And there's very few women's programs going on that aren't about the titles. And I think personal programs, when you would introduce titles, you can have that, but I think sometimes personal programs are more fun and even more interesting than just about a championship. So there are pros and cons. Until they can show me that they can really invest consistently in the women's tag titles and there's a more deep roster and the women get even more time on the show, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's a good point, because probably the same exact thing may happen to the way that the tag team champions have gone, that it may happen the same thing if they were to bring in another title. That's a good point. I pictured, when you were talking about the exorcism of these belts, I pictured them like being in a box. If anyone watches scary movies, similar to the rag doll from The Conjuring.
There you go. Actually, that was one of the visions in my mind. Yeah.
Funny.
That's kind of exactly the way it is. I feel like if they put the belts in a box and they doused it with holy water, the belts would scream. I mean, like, I feel like there's something in them. There is this demonic infestation inside of those belts. Somebody has done something to them. And it's really mind-bogglingly just, I don't know what. It's really, I don't know if it's embarrassing or if it's frustrating or if it's a combination of all emotions of how they've not been able to manage the women's tag team championships. They can't. They do it for like a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then they just disappear. It's like, really.
I think they're at the meetings and they're like, "Oh crap! What about the tag team for the women?"
Yeah. Well, the problem was they created the belts before there was an actual division. That's the problem. They pretended that there was this uproar for women's tag team championships, but there wasn't. The WWE actually manufactured that with having plants in the crowd holding signs. So that wasn't real. So, I mean, people talked about it, but it wasn't this massive, there's got to be women's tag belts. It was WWE's own doing. So I'm all for it, but you created the belts before there was a division. It's backwards. So, I mean, they don't do a good job with the men's tag team championships most of the time. So, like, yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. We have then, let's see, Cody Rhodes interviewed by Kathy Kelly backstage. And he recalled challenging The Rock to face him anytime, any place. And he also spoke about facing Grayson Waller. And he recalled bringing Jey Uso to Raw the first time he was on the Waller effect. And then he said he's giving Waller his first Raw main event. So I mean, I don't know if there really wasn't much context to this. It wasn't like we got any answers, but Cody Rhodes being interviewed backstage doesn't happen a lot. Usually he's out front. So, I don't know if you have any comments on. Well, I guess I didn't hear your thoughts on The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. It's going to happen,
and part of me, as a Rock fan and not a Cody fan, I'm like, do I really want this to be The Rock's first big match back with Cody Rhodes? Like, I don't know why I'm cringing on the inside. Like, my mind is like, you don't deserve that, Cody.
I know, right?
But when? Like, when are they planning? I know The Rock has. He posted that he's coming to 2 more SmackDowns, and I get so tickled by that. I'm like, The Rock is working
3
more than Roman at this point. Like, what the crap? But so is it going to happen on a SmackDown? And then part of me is like, is this really going to happen on a SmackDown and not a PLE? I don't know. I feel weird about it.
I'm very torn on this. Now, it's actually 3. The next 3 SmackDowns he's going to be on, 3 in a row. So that may be the most we see The Rock in a short period of time. I mean, since he was actually full-time, I mean, back in the day. So this is going to be a treat. Now, you're right. I don't know when they do it. I don't think The Rock's first match back is just on a free live SmackDown. They could do it, but the problem with putting it at WrestleMania, say it's on night 1 and Roman and Cody is night 2. The problem with that is then you're clogging up the main event for 2 nights for the same program. And I don't know if that's really fair to the world title or especially the women's division. Like, that's the problem is, and then you're having Cody also do double duty. So there's a lot of issues with it, but I could see them just saying, screw it. It's Cody and Rock night one is the main event.
Who knows? I'd be excited for that. I did bite the bullet and loosen the purse strings, and we are going to Mania. I'll have to fast forward during this section of the podcast because it'll be a surprise to my son. So obviously I bought the tickets in my mindset thinking it was going to be Rock Roman. So needless to say, a few days later when that did not happen, I was very disappointed. Either way, I will be able to see The Rock and be at Mania. That'll be a once in a lifetime opportunity, but I don't know where this is going to happen. I feel about it because I'm like, let's just give Cody even more attention that he does not need. Like, I'm just over it. And I'm trying to be positive. And it's funny, my 3-year-old, he's not really into it. If it's on, he'll watch it, but he recognizes Cody. He'll be like, that's Cody. And I'm like, where did I go wrong? Where have I failed?
Like, where have I failed as a mother? Yeah. No, I'm kind of in the same boat with my son. He's 5, almost 6, and I'm starting to introduce him to wrestling. He actually told me he wants to go to a show, and I'm like, I don't know if he'll make it with if he'll fall asleep at 8:00. So I don't know if he'll make it through the show. But also, like, I don't want to introduce him to Cody Rhodes, and then all of a sudden he becomes a Cody fan. Like, then what do I do? Put him up for adoption? I mean, the options are limited. I don't know what to do. Move out. So I don't want to have to do these things. So it's a risk. Yeah.
I'll have to send you the video because he does the whole whoa part, and I'm like, oh God, I have failed you.
Oh no. Well, it's going to be interesting then if you have The Rock face Cody Rhodes. If he kind of is starting to become a Cody fan, but then loves The Rock, that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. Like you said, adoption papers. I'll have to have those prepared before we go to Mania.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna have to look into that. I think New York State's pretty restrictive, but I'll have to. I'll find a way. All right. So let's continue here. We've got Imperium coming out, and they Gunther boasting about retaining the Intercontinental Championship by beating Jey Uso last week, and he felt like his title almost slipped away from him the last time he defended it. He said he got lucky. He said nobody's perfect, but he's very, very close. I love that. That was great. And then he brought up his WrestleMania match, and he started to really talk about how the fans online mostly are talking about his potential opponents. He brought out Sami Zayn. He brought up Chad Gable. He brought up The Miz and even R-Truth. R-Truth got the biggest pop, notably, by the way, in that. And I'm like, ooh, they may have something there. Like, what do you think about Sami, Chad, Miz, and R-Truth? If it is one of these men, which one would you choose?
I mean, obviously R-Truth, just for the fact that, can you imagine that crowd, how they would absolutely lose their mind if R-Truth somehow won this. And I feel like if it was like where, Gunther didn't have to get pinned and R-Truth pinned Chad or something, where it wouldn't make Gunther look bad essentially. But that pop, if R-Truth were to win, oh my gosh, I would be crying. I would be so excited for him.
Right? I know. He has that connection with the fans that is so rare.
And I think we have limited time with him because he's 50?
Yes.
And that, but the man looks like he's still in his 30s. So he props to that. But realistically, he's getting older. So we don't have very much longer to treasure and adore and love R-Truth in the ring. So please give us this.
I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. I mean, R-Truth is deserving of a title victory. Now, I still think it's probably going to be as a tag team champion briefly with The Miz taking down Finn Balor and Damian Priest at Mania, unless we get a potential Damian Priest and Gunther matchup, which heel isn't going to work. It's not going to just be Damian Priest straight up against Gunther. I don't think, even though they interrupted Gunther here, that would make a whole lot of sense. What did you think about that part of it where the Judgment Day interrupted Imperium? So 2 heel groups. It was so funny. That was my son's exact thoughts. He was like, how are we just going to boo both of them? And I'm like, that's a good point, son. Yeah, maybe. It's so funny because I always forget that Damian has the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I forget that it doesn't have to be, the big championships. When Gunther mentioned, like, I see you're not going to cash in on me. What do you want? And I was like, oh yeah, he could cash in on that one if he wanted to. I don't see that happening, but
I feel like if it's between the two of them, I think maybe Priest is probably more hated than Gunther is. So maybe people would cheer for Gunther. I'm really not sure how that would go. I think it would be a good physical match. They're both phenomenal in the ring, so that would be fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, given the chance, or given the opportunity, I think fans would side with Gunther over Damian Priest if they had to choose, if that was actually a thing. I mean, because Gunther is respected, right? Like Damian Priest is getting there, but the people understand who and what Gunther is. He's damn good in the ring. He is a believable presence. He is a professional wrestler through and through. Damian Priest only recently over the last year has really come into his own. So I think if they had to be forced to do it, but there's definitely a bigger babyface here that I don't know who that is. Maybe I was going to say Braun Breaker, but didn't he just sign on SmackDown? So that's probably out.
Yeah, he did.
So I mean, I don't know who this person is. Maybe it's a fatal four-way, like you said, and somebody sneaks a victory out, like R-Truth pinning somebody that's not Gunther to win it. So they have options here, but Chad Gable made a case later in the night to Adam Pearce, hey, I want to be involved. This is personal. It's about my family. He made my son cry. So there was an emotional tie there too. So I don't know how.
It's so fun in the ring. Like he is really good in the ring. His character with how goofy he is. Sometimes I hate that for him because I feel like that diminishes how good he is in the ring. So it was nice to see him like in a suit having a serious conversation about what his career needs to look like. So that'll be fun to see kind of if they keep that up with him and his character. So that way, I feel like he'll be taken more seriously if he were to challenge Gunther for another match.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, well, let's continue on here. We've got Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods taking on Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci in a street fight. This lasted, let me see the time here, about, 18 minutes, so pretty long here. And it ended clean with Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci beating Kofi and Xavier. What did you think?
This felt like my childhood. I was like, this feels like the Attitude Era. The fact that the stands are on their feet the entire time, how this was gruesome. I think at one point they kind of pulled a Devon get the tables moment. So that kind of brought me back to my childhood. I loved seeing the New Day like this. And I feel like their characters, because they had been this goofy, come out with the pancakes and the trumpet or whatever musical instrument that is for years now. And it's like, they've got to do something different because they are very I do believe they will be future Hall of Famers because of how much they did for the tag team division. But at some point it's like, y'all have got to switch things up. So I love that they came out in blue jeans and obviously got that babyface pop, rocking the San Jose jerseys, which reminded me of KO and Sami Zayn. What match was that? That was with the Judgment Day also. But this was, wow. I mean, the scene where it was Xavier doing the elbow drop from the top rope and how they had that camera angle made it look so much better. This was a really, really fun match to watch. And it felt as if the four of them were like, we've got to put on a hell of a show. We've got to make a really good impression so we can get our careers moving forward in a different path or in a better direction, or to put us in the conversation of a title run for the tag team. So you can tell that they really gave it all that they had.
It's really awesome to see the New Day not just be the New Day. Like you forget how good they can wrestle. You forget how good they are in the ring, and that they can deliver it on a very physical street fight level. This is a different type of New Day. Now, I'm not suggesting they're turning heel or that they're going to stop with any of the jokes, but their recent transformation into taking things actually semi-seriously is a nice breath of fresh air, because while I have not been a fan of their joking, bootios, everything's a joke, everything is pancakes. Kofi Kingston loses the WWE title in 10 seconds, and the next week he's out there hopping, skipping with a unicorn horn on. All the garbage that we've dealt with. I mean, their characters have just been, it's been to me, it's just the epitome of the worst of professional wrestling. But I understand why they do it. There's a market for it. They're marketing a lot to kids. I get the money side of it. I totally understand that. But it's nice to see the more serious side come out now, where they aren't making jokes every 10 seconds. I appreciate it, because they are, especially Kofi. Kofi's in the waning years of his career. He doesn't have a ton of time left. So I think showing what he can still do in this type of environment is important for his career and for the fans to remember, wow, that's right. Kofi isn't just the butt of a joke or making inside jokes. He can actually still go. And for Xavier Woods, I don't think we've seen the best days for Xavier Woods yet. I mean, he's shown glimpses. Every time he gets an opportunity, he seems to knock it out of the park in the ring. And I don't think we've seen his best days yet. I know he's been in the New Day, and the New Day's been around, I think, for like 10 years now.
Gosh.
But I think it was 2014, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I'll have to look, but it might be. And so for Xavier Woods, I think moving forward, whenever they finally quietly disband, he can't be in a group forever. I think Xavier Woods as a solo act is something I'd like to explore.
And I think even Imperium, they looked really good. Sometimes I forget about Giovanni. He is just such an afterthought in that group that I forget about him. But he looked phenomenal. And I will have to say, I'm going to call you out on this, Matt. So you and me on your review of the Chamber about Rhea showing off her assets in her with her outfit. I think it's similar to the men. I'm going to call out Kaiser. He has 0% body fat. And his briefs literally have LK right in the groin area. So it's he's drawing attention to his prospects or his area just as much as Rhea was drawing attention to her booty. So I think it works the same way.
However, the difference is men have always competed in tights. And the core audience is mostly men when you're talking about professional wrestling. I think it's like an 80% rate when it comes to men viewing the product. So when they see women on the product that are, plus men are much more visual than women are. That's just basic. I mean, by a long shot, men are much more visual. So there's a difference there where if men see women in an outfit that accents the backside, they're going to react differently. It's just not across the board, but generally men act a little bit differently when they see an outfit that women are wearing like that than if women were watching men compete like that. I think it's a bit of a different aspect there. I understand the logic, but it's a little different because of who is generally watching the product.
I get what we'll have to save this for another episode.
No, I'm all for it. And it's just, the thing is, I don't want the women to regress is all. Because sometimes you see stuff on social media and you're like, cool. You're an incredibly beautiful woman. And we get it. Wow, your backside or your front side or whatever side you want to show is pretty impressive. But when it's all you see all the time from certain people, it's are you a wrestler? Are you what are you supposed to be? It makes me think back to divas and when the women were over sexualized in the Attitude Era. It just brings me back to that time when as a teenager I wasn't complaining, but thinking back now, I don't want it going back. Because they've made too much progress forward that kind of stuff, when it's overdone, it just gives me bad vibes. And I mean, it is what it is. I know some people don't agree. That's how I feel. I want it to be about wrestling for both genders. That's all.
Got it.
So, anyway. All right. Was that? No, I know. I set some people off on Twitter. It's been a mess. It's been fun. But anyway, all right, let's continue. I've got, let's see here. A Grayson Waller video. I think we'll skip that. We've got Shayna Baszler here and Zoe Stark versus Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark beat Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. And I don't know what to say other than just kind of status quo here for the women's tag team division that gets an under 3 minute match. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I kind of forgot about it till you mentioned it. Shayna Baszler, she is hard to listen to when she does promos. She almost makes me want to fast forward. And I don't know what it is. Something about the way that she gives a promo. I'm like, oh gosh, let me fast forward her real quick. Because she's a hell of an athlete, but her promos, she makes me it's uncomfortable to watch for some reason. She's had some decent promos in the past. I mean, I particularly liked the build that she had to WrestleMania 36, unfortunately in front of nobody with Becky Lynch, during the pandemic era. I mean, that was a really fun Shayna Baszler. But yeah, when she's not really known for her captivate the audience with a plus promo type of vibe. I just don't think she has that organic kind of a talent to her, but
she's still a hell of a hand in the ring. I mean, she looks and feels different also because she isn't just beauty queen that a lot of the women are. She's just this hard-nosed badass woman that, like, you know, is a legit, it was a legitimate MMA fighter, and she brings that to the table. So I think that helps her, but I would agree. Yeah, but nobody ever comes out of Raw thinking, oh my God, that Shayna Baszler promo, you know, like, it's just, it is what it is. But anyway, the crowd was super flat for this, but why would they be crazy about this?
2 minutes, and they're, you know,
yeah,
it's 2 minutes. We hardly really know Indy Hartwell. I know that they had in Candace. I know they had their match at the opener for Elimination Chamber, but we really don't know much about him. So I would have been the same way.
Yeah,
I clearly forgot about it, and I watched it on TV.
It's just like I've said before. I might have said this with you. It's like a box that they've checked and said, see, no, we have women's tag team wrestling on the show. See, but it's like, yeah, sure. You do technically, but it's as bare minimum as it gets. And it doesn't really help anyone do anything. Like, what's the end game here for these teams, you know? Yeah. So it's a box that they're checking, and that's kind of it. That's what it feels like. All right, well, let's go to R-Truth here, who was shown backstage in the Judgment Day clubhouse, but The Miz, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa were inside the room, and he wondered what they were doing there. And Truth said Judgment Day was gone for the night, and he was thinking about the good old days. Ciampa said he had a plan, and then asked R-Truth, are you ready? Truth took his small television out of the clubhouse. He still thinks that he's dealing with Degeneration X.
I love it. He's like, Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, they're just like, okay.
Yeah. It's great. He's lost touch with reality, but it's so endearing. I love it.
I love it too. This was fun. I'm always like, I want more Truth on my screen, please.
I want Tom and Nick Mysterio. That I need Tom and Nick. I mean, he's a comedic genius. But the thing is also with R-Truth, he's not the butt of a joke. He's not like, you don't laugh at him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not like, oh, this clown. You look at him and you're like, he's so easy to like that you wish that they would do more with him. But, you know, I don't know. So you're not laughing at him in a way that, you know, you'd laugh at somebody that you don't respect. But anyway. All right. So we got in the third hour here, starting off, we had McIntyre come out and thanked everyone for putting their hands together and praying harder than they ever had in their lives. He said it's because of them that he's facing Seth Rollins for the World Championship at WrestleMania. He talked about being jet lagged and having his eardrum burst during the match, which I don't know if that's true or not, but he said that the doctor told him he might not make it to WrestleMania. He said he looked at the doctor and he replied, "Who do you think I am, CM Punk?" And he said, nothing's going to stop me from missing WrestleMania. And then he sat cross-legged in the middle of the ring. What did you think?
I love this version of Drew. And I, unfortunately, I missed a lot of his, where he was carrying the company on his back during the pandemic era, because that was hard for me to watch. I'm going to be 100% transparent to you. I would go weeks without watching wrestling during that time when there wasn't a crowd. It was just hard to watch. So I didn't really get to know Drew that well, but God, he is so good. He's almost so, I know he's a heel, but you don't even he's spitting facts. You don't even want to hate him, because it's yeah, you got a point there. Mm-hmm. I feel like when Punk comes back, this is going to be a really good program when Punk comes back, just from week after week, Drew pulling insult after insult, mocking him by sitting cross-legged in the middle of the ring. Oh, this is going to be so good. I will cheer for Drew when Punk comes back, just because the fact how Drew, what he's been delivering every week. Oh, I love it.
That's a good point. You know, I mean, when CM Punk returns, I think most fans will return or will be behind Punk. But if Drew continues on this path of being one of the most interesting heels that I've seen in years, I may be with you. I may be in your boat here as we approach that time, which it seems like it'll be late spring, early summer, in which Punk will be back and eventually facing Drew. And at that point, he could be world champion, and maybe Punk's going to come for his world championship at that point. But this is such a fun version of Drew. But like you said, that's what makes it so interesting, is he thinks he's the hero in his own story, but also he's not really lying about anything.
No,
what is he lying about?
A point, Drew.
Yeah.
And you guys, I think you guys mentioned, even Anthony mentioned on your show last night, that he's not doing anything wrong to win these matches, which is why I found it interesting that he kind of called Rollins out on, if you don't stop, trying to get in the bloodline business, they're going to interrupt our match. It's going to mess, he's going to jump on that opportunity. I feel like he's doing like a reverse psychology, like, oh, Seth, please stop messing with them. Leave them alone. Knowing Seth is not going to, knowing hopefully they're going to interfere with their match so that way he can win the championship.
That's a good point. I mean, Drew is playing a very kind of cerebral, no pun intended, game, right? He is playing a very interesting mind game with his opponents, the way he says things, even coming up to Jey Uso later in the show and saying that, I've thought about it and, you really deserve this. I mean, just the things and the way he delivers them, it's just it's so dark, but it's brilliantly done where he hasn't changed who he is really. It's just a tweak here and there. And all of a sudden he's one of the hottest heels in the company and he's selling merch and he's got a world title opportunity at WrestleMania. I mean, it's unbelievable of what's happened to Drew McIntyre. So I'm all for this, and having Seth come out there and, they seem pretty cordial, but the case to be made for the bloodline interfering is pretty strong. I mean, the bloodline might interfere. I hope they don't. I don't need wonkiness at WrestleMania, but it's very possible that they do. And it's very possible that Drew is going to win the way he's won his matches the last 3 months, is having somebody attack his opponent and he just takes advantage. He doesn't hit a low blow. He doesn't use brass knucks. He just takes advantage to win. That's all. So
and I'm excited for this match at Mania. I feel like, and I really like Seth. I love Seth, but I am deep down, I am rooting for Drew to win this.
Yes. I think most fans, even though they go to the shows and cheer for Rollins, I think deep down they're like, but Drew is so intriguing. What does this look like? And plus, we've had a run with Seth from late May until we're late February now. It'll be early April. So nearly a full year of Seth Rollins at that point as champion. That's a respectable run. I mean, any way you sliced it, it's a respectable run. So the fans can't say, well, he didn't have enough time. Nearly a year run is I think, a very solid run by today's standards. So. Yeah. All right. Well, let's continue. And we got, after this, Nia Jax and Liv Morgan. And this lasted 8 minutes with Liv Morgan losing to Nia Jax, but that's because Becky Lynch attacked Jax to get the DQ finish. And Lynch was slamming Jax's head on the broadcast table, got her inside the ring, and Lynch hit Jax from behind and sent her through the ropes to the floor. And the referee held back Lynch while Jax was backed up on the ramp. And Liv Morgan, I think, did a nice job of this match. I'm not a massive Liv fan by any stretch, but I think she showed something here in a match with Nia Jax, and she showed a little bit of toughness, a little variety of maneuvers, but also more importantly, her getting angry at Becky Lynch after the match backstage showed a different kind of edge to her character that I think's been missing.
And same. That was the exact feeling that I got, because after the loss to the Rumble, where she was in the final 3, and then after the loss at Chamber, I was like, is this going to piss her off enough to kind of shift maybe somewhat in the heel, but more aggressive? I just got so tickled when they kept calling this her revenge tour, yet her revenge is against Rhea. Has she even had a moment with Rhea? Like, I'm confused.
I know.
If you are pissed off at someone, I'm going to go directly to that person, not the other way around. So I'm hoping that her revenge tour has ended, and she's just doing something else at this point. And now that she got pissed off at Lynch, I'm wondering if, in an effort to really build Becky back up again, is that be wonderful baby face, with Nia being pissed off at her, and now with Lynch, if that's going to help Becky look better, I guess, in favors with her and Rhea.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you and I are onto something here. I think there is more to what we saw with Liv here, getting pinned with the manhandle slam at a Chamber, then getting screwed in the matchup. Even though she didn't attack Liv, she attacked Nia. It still messed with her match, so she's going to take that personally. I think we're about to see something happen with Liv. Maybe she does turn heel. I'm for it. I mean, I don't think that that's going to be the worst thing for a Liv. Change of character. Liv isn't, a beloved character by the fans. There's some pockets of fans for Liv, but she is generally kind of just there. She's I hate to say it, but she's kind of like the wallpaper. You know it's there, but you don't look at it a ton until it's time to take it down or change it. I mean, and that's not disrespectfully to her in the ring. I think she's good in the ring. She's obviously talented. She's decent on the microphone. But I think this change in character will get the fans' attention if they're going to go with a heel turn and having her maybe attack Lynch for all the things that she has done to her inadvertently over the last couple of weeks. So it's something to keep an eye on, kind of put a pin in, as they say, and see how this evolves, because I think there is something to this with Liv and Becky Lynch. So
yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, let's continue here. And we got Grayson Waller and Austin Theory interviewed by Kathy Kelly. She asked Waller if having Cody on his show backfired, and Waller said Cody disrespected him in his hometown in Attack Theory. The line here of the night for the Waller was this, that he said he did everything he could to protect Theory, who was, and I'm like, that was funny. And Theory just kind of looked at him, because, I mean, we all saw Chamber. He just stood there and watched and made zero effort to help his friend. So that was a fun line. But then we got Cole hyping up Jey Uso's appearance on the Jackie Redmond show, but that for NHL fans that care. So then we finally get to the main event, and it was Cody Rhodes versus Grayson Waller. And this match ended in just under 18 minutes, and it really wasn't about the match here, because you knew that Grayson Waller wasn't going to win. And Grayson Waller, I mean, maybe outside of like one or two matches, I really don't know how many he's won, but yet continues to get over. So kudos to him. But Cody Rhodes wins with the Crossroads, and after he hit a Cody cutter, and he wins. But it was more about Paul Heyman and his introduction, and having these off-duty but also suspended cops that are, i.e., local wrestling talent, come out and surround Cody, and I'll let you take it from there. I don't know what your thoughts are about this match and the segment that followed.
Yeah, the match was kind of predictable. We all knew that Cody was going to win this. I honestly, I feel bad for Austin Theory. Like, where he was a year ago with John Cena compared to where he is now as the puppy dog to Grayson Waller. I'm just like, what? Oh, how the mighty have fallen, which I hate, because, Theory is, from a woman's perspective, he's fun to look at. I think he's great on the mic, but gosh, he certainly has fallen from grace, I feel like, since his match with John Cena. That definitely did not put him over the way that it should have. But obviously the fun part of this whole thing was Paul Heyman coming out. I love Paul Heyman on my TV screen. He is, everything he does is A+. I got so tickled about his, off-duty cops. I always wonder, I'm like, where do they get these guys? Because clearly they know how to wrestle. So I'm like, where do they come from? The security guards or the paramedics that get, beat up in the ring. But I just thought it was so funny at the very end when Paul was like, obviously his typical, call Roman. And then he pulled out the second cell phone of the call Rock. And I was like, oh, we got two cell phones now.
I think he forgot that there's a merge call feature. You know what I mean? Like, why the second? I know the second phone is for effect, but Paul Heyman, who continues to look like he doesn't know how to use an iPhone, I mean, doesn't know that you can just click add call. Anyway,
and I'm like, you're in an audience filled with thousands of people. They can't hear you, Paul.
Right. That's it. Like, they have no idea. Oh my God, that's a good point. But I'm with you. I mean, you knew that those three local talent, I mean, they're not going to the PD. They're not going to the local police department and saying, all right, we need like three guys that are willing to learn how to take pro wrestling bumps in a few hours, right? Come on down to the arena. We'll show you how to take some. No, I mean, of course, they're local wrestling talent. And, you can always kind of tell because you look at him and you're like, that doesn't look like a cop. Like, you can just tell, you're like, no. Like, that's definitely like one of the talent, local talent, and that's fine. But Cody dispatched them, hit them with chair shots. But during this rebuttal with Heyman, it was interesting to note that Cody said he's done being nice. He's done, playing the nice guy, which I like, because I mean, I'm not a fan of the Cody Rhodes babyface character, so maybe a more angry Cody Rhodes will make it more palatable for me. It's not going to change my total opinion, but at least I won't want to change the channel when I see him. And also, he said to close the show that he is not the one being hunted, that he's the one hunting. So that was an interesting line, right? Like, it was interesting that Cody said he's the one who's going to try to take down the bloodline, and it's not the other way around. A nice little play on words there, but
I don't know why I just couldn't take it seriously. Like I was like, oh, okay, sure, Cody. That was my thought when he said this. I just couldn't take him seriously for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, but it's true because he's always so happy-go-lucky. So when he gets angry, you're just like, yeah, sure. You'll be like, in about 30 minutes. You're gonna put on your suit and go to bed, and you can walk your dog. You'll be smiling, right? Yeah, that's exactly it. So, I mean, that's true because all you do is see Cody smiling all the time, every day. I bet you he smiles as he's sleeping. And it's just, I'm with you. But at least they're trying to show a bit of an edge to Cody. He needs that edge. And he also didn't look like an idiot, right? Like, because you could see the bloodline set up coming a mile away. You're thinking, okay, yeah, there's Jimmy or Solo are here somewhere. And he didn't look stupid. He was looking around. He got a chair. Smart. It's what anybody should do. But you're right. One thing about Austin Theory, to just go back quickly, Solo Sikoa is kind of in the same boat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all these beating John Cena moments have done nothing for Theory and Solo. Absolutely nothing. In fact, for Austin Theory, I think it actually hurt him, especially with the build and everything else that went into it. John Cena just torched him. It has done nothing to help really either talent, but that's another story. So
just a shame. They're both great. I mean, well, I don't really know much about Solo. Other than he's a beast in the ring, but yeah, I hate that for him.
Yeah, I do too. But no, I mean, I think that this is going to be something that probably doesn't last long with Theory and Waller. We'll see past WrestleMania. I think that
turn coming with when he was like, I did everything to help out my friend. Did you?
I know. And he said it just kind of in passing as just like matter of fact. And he's just like, you didn't even need to think about it. It's just, of course I did. I tried to, it was great. Waller is very talented. There's no doubt about it. He's good in the ring. He doesn't look as nearly as chiseled as, of course, Austin Theory does, but he can talk. And sometimes talking and the ability to cut a promo and have a presence is even more important than what you look like, for sure. So, well, before we go, I mean, of course, I want to give you an opportunity to let everyone know that this is not just one of the passions you have. Wrestling's one of them. I know you have a podcast and a business on the side that you have, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity to let everyone know what that is.
Yeah, so I am a wedding planner. So if you're engaged to be married and need someone to help plan your wedding, that would be me. And we could talk wrestling during our wedding planning meeting. So it'd be a win-win. My company is Southern Sparkle Wedding and Events. We're based out of Tennessee, and our podcast is the Wedding Pro Podcast.
Awesome. Very cool. You are the only wedding planner that I know that is a wrestling fan. I'm sure there are more out there, but I think they're pretty few and far between.
I might be the only one, honestly, but it really does win me over sometimes with my grooms.
It's got to.
They'll randomly be like, I saw on your Facebook that you shared a post from WWE. And they're like, oh, yeah, I watch wrestling. And they're like, what?
Yeah, I'm sure some of the men are like, this is just impossible. And then, and the women are
nice to everybody because I'm so prissy. I'm so girly. I'm, decked out in my bling and my labels. And everyone's like, wait a minute. You like what? Like,
I'm sure you definitely don't fit the typical pro wrestling fan look. That's for sure. And on top of it, the profession. I mean, again, that is the last thing I would think to ask my wedding planner is like, hey, you catch Raw last night? You know what I mean? Like in the middle of like trying to pick out the colors for scheme for my table, I'm like, oh man, how about that segment last night with Cody? Right? Like,
I know. And I've had a couple that have been like, you're doing a podcast? Tell me what the podcast is. I'll listen to it.
Oh, that's great. I mean, it's an interesting combination. I love it. And, I'm sure as your son continues to grow up and takes your reins as a fan, I hope that, number one, he grows out of this Cody phase. Hopefully it's just a Cody phase. It's a phase, right? But also he's got a lot of fun segments coming up. The Rock the next 3 weeks, The Rock at WrestleMania, maybe even The Rock beyond that, because it looks like The Rock said he's in it for the long game. So your son is probably going to have just as much fun as you are over the next
And it's just so fun, like leading up to this, because during like as we go to the road to WrestleMania, I always watch some of the past WrestleManias. Like that's what we do on Sunday. So we watched WrestleMania 18, I believe, this week. Whichever was the one with Stone Cold and The Rock. That not the final one, but the one before that, whiwhich was, oh my gosh, I just forgot how good it was.
17. So that was 17 in Houston.
Oh gosh, I totally forgot how phenomenal it was. I had to like fast forward anything to do with the women, though. God, I forgot how horrible.
It's almost hard to watch. Yeah. It makes you so happy of where we are now.
Yeah, completely. I am so grateful for Rhea and the rest of my queens.
Right, and like you look at this and you're like, how did we tolerate this? This was like just okay. And women with like, not at WrestleMania, but you'd have gravy bowl fights, bra and panties matches, like it's like
WrestleMania where it was like there was a bed and it was like a pillow fight. I'm like, really?
Yep.
Ugh.
It was just I'm telling you, that's what I don't. That's the last thing I want. It's not that I don't enjoy looking at a beautiful woman. I'm a married man, but I'm not blind, right? So like, I don't hate that, but that's not why I watch wrestling. There's a million other forums you can go and do that, and that's not what I came here for. So, I appreciate the athleticism. So WrestleMania 17. I mean, you watched one of the best ones, one of the most beloved WrestleManias of all time, with The Rock and Austin turning heel and joining Vince. That ended up being a big disaster in a big way for Austin. But man, now you're making me want to go back and rewatch it.
And we watched another one, and it made me think, like, I really, if The Rock is on his heel turn right now, please bring back his heel entrance, his Hollywood Rock entrance with the helicopter. I'm like, if they like, that would be iconic at WrestleMania 40. Like,
so I think
do that.
They did modify his music, and it was posted, and I posted it on my Twitter feed or X feed. It is awesome. It is a combination of, it's got a little bit of his "If You Smell," like the intro he has now, but then it morphs into the helicopter theme a little bit, and it's got this nice under rock tone. So it's a bit of a combination of things, but it's still got that rock Hollywood helicopter entrance vibe. It's awesome. So if that's true, then we'll hear it on SmackDown on Friday night. But it's awesome. So, but before we go, I know I'd like to, just in case, if you had anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to mention or comment on.
No, I think that was it.
All right. Awesome. Well, Chrissy, thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and hear from a female's perspective of what the hell's going on and what you're thinking, because not too many women have wrestling podcasts or even come on shows. So I really appreciate it. And you're always a blast to talk with.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. I love being on it also. So thank you for having me.
All right. You have a great night and enjoy the next week or two. And we'll be in touch very soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good. All right. Bye, Matt.
Take care. So sure, the holidays are over, but gift-giving season is year-round, right? You always have someone's birthday, you have an anniversary coming up, or that special occasion. That's where leadingsavingsvault.shop comes in. They've got everything from keychains and sunglasses, furniture, gadgets, home decor, clothing, home electronics, jewelry, anything you'd need for any occasion. And from day one, their team keeps bringing together the finest materials for stunning design to create something special for you. All their products are developed with a complete dedication to quality, durability, and functionality. And all of their products are backed with a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not fully satisfied, just return it and get your money back. But don't wait. Head over to leadingsavingsvault.shop and get that product that you need for that special someone, or just treat yourself. So head on over to leadingsavingsvault.shop.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.